What's up, you guys? Brandasauresrex here, coming at you with another video review. And today we're going to be reviewing the S.H Monsterarts Godzilla 1994 figure, or Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla figure. God, these names are just incredibly long. And yeah, I recently got this figure. I did an unboxing for it. You guys seem to want me to review the figure, since I have never reviewed this figure. So I said, why not? Since I want to mess around with my new equipment. Like I said before, I got a new lens, new microphone, as hopefully you can hear. I've been trying to mess with it. I took a week to just kind of figure out how to work with the lens. Excuse me, not the lens, the microphone. So, you know, I've been trying to, like, learn how to use it properly. So hopefully it sounds a little bit better than the last time. Because last time I couldn't tell the difference too much between the microphone and the built-in microphone in the camera. So hopefully you guys can tell the difference now more than ever. So yeah, and also I got a new lights and stuff like that. So yeah, so without further ado, let's review this thing. So the first thing we're going to do is open that box. So let's open the box. Open the box. You hear me? Let's take a look at the box. I'm so excited. I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm a fool. Okay, so now that we are done looking at Godzilla's box, let's take a look at Godzilla's accessories, because I feel like that is the main reason why I kind of bought this figure, besides the fact that this Godzilla can get into swimming poses, which we'll get into in Articulation. But for now, let's take a look at Godzilla's atomic breath effect and base piece, which I think is pretty cool. A blue effect piece, nothing too amazing for the Monsterarts line at this point. We've had many of them in we've had like 100 of these things already. In the line we've had red ones, green ones, purple ones, yellow ones. Nothing I can say that's it's bringing to the table, besides this is the first one. This is, you know, the one to start it all. It is the blue one. It is the most sought after one, and the only way to get this one as of this point is to get is to get this original piece. And sadly enough, there weren't too many made, from my knowledge. And also, Bandai has no plans to re-release this blue effect again, and that is why the 64 got his own effect, like his special made effect piece, because they were not going to release this. So I think anybody who's expecting another Godzilla to come with this blue effect piece should bite the bullet and pay the $100 and something to get this figure, just for this piece alone, because there's no other way you're getting this. So quickly, I wanted to go over some of the fine details that are on this figure. Seeing how it is the first Monsterarts to come out in the line, I wanted to go over a few of the details that are going on in this figure and just talk about it, and just kind of go over some of the things that I do like and dislike about this figure really quickly. So first off, I have to commend the head sculpt. I think this is one of my favorite Godzilla head sculpts out of the 90s head sculpts. I know there's only like 2 of them, but it is a really great head sculpt nonetheless. I do like it. I love that it's compact. It has all the details. The eyes are so emotional. Moving on to the torso of the figure, I do love the chest. I do think it's rather small, and something they did improve upon with the Rebirth figure and widening out that chest, because Godzilla does have a very large and broad chest. So let's move on. Moving down to the legs, this is where a lot of my complaints will come in, because this is so limited. Oh, what's going on here? And I understand this is the first Monstars figure. They were trying to figure it out. They tried to do the best that they possibly could with this figure. But what the fuck is going on here? The thighs are so limited. It's like they can barely move. They're beautifully sculpted. Everything about this figure is beautiful. Don't get me wrong. But the articulation in the thighs are just lacking. It's just you can barely move it. It just The one thing I have to commend this figure for is the tail. So let's slide this figure around, turn him around, and just take a look at the tail. The tail is awesome. It's strong, it's sturdy, and I said this in my unboxing. This is a used figure, and the tail still feels brand new. This is something that I was even shocked by, because most of my Monstars figures, like the tails, become so weak over time, and this figure's tail is holding up so strongly. So I'm just gonna use this angle just because this was the angle I was taking photos, and it just came to mind that I forgot a few things to talk about when I was discussing just minor things that I didn't like about the figure. And one thing that I don't like about this figure is the loose jaw syndrome that goes on with this figure. It's just like a little like tapping that you can do that make this jaw, like the jaw just gets a little knocked out of place. This happens with a few Monster Art figures. I want to talk about the dorsal plates and how the dorsal plates are different from the Rebirth as well. For the Rebirth, they are very bone color. They're very dark bone. I don't know how else to explain it, but the bone color, like the hands and the feet, on the claws that are on Godzilla, they're very bone colored. But for the dorsal plates, they decided to go with blue, which I find interesting because no other Godzilla has gone with the blue dorsal plates besides the 2014 repaint or the Spitfire version. Moving on to articulation. Let's go on to articulation because I think this guy has a lot of standard articulation for a Monstars figure. So looking at the head of the figure, he can look up a lot, which is shocking for a Monstars figure. A lot of these figures cannot look up unless you're Destroyer. You won the look up lottery because none of these figures can look up. He can look a decent amount down. Can't look all the way down. Can't look at his Godzilla toes, sadly enough. Moving down to his shoulders, he can rotate all the way up. He can pick it up all the way up, pretty much. Now moving on to the bicep, he has a bicep swivel. Swing that all the way around, 360. Amazing, beautiful. He has a elbow bend, 2 joints. Wrist, he has wrist articulation. Now moving down to the waist of the figure, he has the weakest waist articulation, I have to say, of the line. He can move left and he can move right, just ever so slightly, just in either direction. You just have to pick your poison and turn slightly, and that's about it. He can go a little bit left, a little bit right, but you got to be very careful not to rub the dorsal plates. My suggestion is to lean him slightly forward, then turn left or turn right, and then plop him down, and then that will be where he goes. So now moving down from the waist to the thighs, this is where all my major complaints about the figure come in. But moving down to the thighs, this is how far the articulation goes, from a static standing pose to about that. And it's very limited, and it's not great. This is about a walking stance for Godzilla. This is standard. This is pretty much what you would get in a movie. But as an action figure, this does not work. Now moving down to the knees, he has a double jointed knee, which is pretty cool. This one actually has a lot of articulation, a good spread of joint in here, shockingly enough, since how limited the thigh is. But to see the full range of motion, I do suggest lifting the thigh up and then bending the knee so that you can see how great the articulation is. Then moving down to the shin, he has a little bit of shin motion going on here. It's not a lot because of the way the slipcover sleeve thing ball joint works, but it's there. Now moving to the backside, to the tail, I noticed that the back part of the tail is a little loose. At the joint, it's just dropping just a little bit. Not a big complaint. All my Monster Arts are a little bit like that, where they just drop a little bit at one joint. Just a thing that just happens over time. The ball joints get loose. There are ways to fix this. I don't really care to do it. Something about nail polish. I don't know. So, has a lot of joints moving around in here. I'm not going to sit here and count all of them. There's a lot of ball joints moving around in here. All amazing. all awesome, and it's all segmented up to a certain point, and then it becomes a static piece. So to wrap up this review, just as easily as I could say it, if you're gonna ask me my opinion on this figure and if you should get it, if you're struggling and on a budget, I would say no. Just go and get the Rebirth. I literally got a Rebirth for $40 off of somebody. You could probably get it around the same price. There's nothing really too terribly wrong with this figure. There's nothing that's blaringly screaming out, don't get this figure. It's an amazing figure with an amazing accessory piece that I think it should be a part of every S.H Monsterarts collector's collection. That was a mouthful. But I feel like this figure could be skipped because of the fact that there is some glaring problems about the figure that were improved upon with the Rebirth figure. It's just such an improvement on this figure. I think this figure leaves a lot to be desired, but I also think it brings a lot to the table for being the first figure of its kind. So that's gonna wrap it up for me. I'll catch you guys next time. Yeah, so if you want updates to that, make sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff. I'll update you guys. Or you could just subscribe here and turn on notifications. That is a good way to know when I post videos, is to turn on notifications. Basically, what it will do is go like a little thing to your phone, a little thing to your YouTube page, or it'll send you an email, just basically letting you know that I made a video and I actually posted it for the first time ever in life. And it wouldn't take 2 months for me to actually do it. So yeah, so I'll check you guys out next time. So peace out.
That's crispy.